Top 20 News Anchor Interview Questions and Answers. News anchors work closely with news reporters who gather newsworthy information. They then broadcast newscasts regularly from the gathered information and present informative stories to listeners and viewers. Therefore, the big question that needs to be answered is what you need to become a news anchor. This article will look at some of the common interview questions for news anchors to increase your chances of landing a job. Most of these will focus on your experience, skills, attributes and modes of operation. Ensure that you have the right answers. Take a look at the following. 1. Why are you interested in this job? By now, you must have discovered that this is one of the most asked questions in interviews. It is an opening question, asked to kick off the interview and get you talking. Be sure to sell yourself and tell the interviewer some of the things you can offer if given the job. Sample answer. I am an experienced news anchor, having clocked 10 years in this field earlier this year. I have always wanted to work for your news company. Therefore, when I saw that your job listing matched my experience skill set, I submitted my application, hoping to use them for the benefit of the company. I am a passionate worker who will go to great lengths to leave a positive difference here. 2. What are the roles of a news anchor? What does a news anchor do? The interview assumes that you understand your job description. You can either mention some of the roles you undertook in your former workplace or refer to the provided job description. All in all, ensure everything you mention is job-related. Sample answer. News anchors mainly present stories on radio and television, where they introduce videotaped or live reports from reporters after analyzing and selecting stories. They also conduct live interviews, gather and verify data from sources, report breaking news and produce new shows. These are just the main roles. You can mention as many as you can remember. 3. What are the qualities that a news anchor needs to be effective? What are some of the skills, behavioral attributes and abilities that news anchors need to be good at their job? The interviewer is giving you a chance to mention some of the qualities that have made you a good presenter. However, like the previous question, make sure that they are job-related. Sample answer. A news anchor should be a good communicator and listener. He or she should have superb writing and editorial skills, the ability to comprehend written texts, social perceptiveness, and the ability to improvise and collaborate with others. Other qualities include excellent interpersonal skills, the ability to stay neutral and high levels of professionalism. 4. Mention a challenge that you faced at your former workplace and how you managed it. This is a pretty straightforward question. The interviewer wants to know if you are a problem solver. Can you find solutions to different challenges instead of waiting for others to come up with ideas? Mention an experience where you successfully solved a problem. Sample answer. I moved to a busy media station with lots of correspondence. I therefore received lots of news items that I had to go through and sieve before preparing the final presentation. This proved to be quite hectic and even forced me to work overtime at times. I came up with a plan of how to organize myself and prioritize tasks. I also created mini deadlines on every task which I strived to meet. I was in control of my time and job within no minute. 5. Describe your daily routine. What do you do daily as a news anchor? Do you know some of your daily activities in this job? We advise that you make your day look pretty busy. Make the interviewer know that you are a hardworking person. Sample answer. My day starts pretty early. I meet the senior producer and journalists responsible for the day's broadcast. We carefully map out the show, and the producer may suggest changes, which we work on. I will then view these stories before getting on the air. The rest of the day will be spent fleshing out any future major report and waiting for airtime. 6. Briefly describe your experience. What are some of the positions you have held and outstanding roles you have played in this job? Mention anything that has built your career. Also, remember to include your accolades and achievements as they better your chance of landing the job. Sample answer. This is my 7th year in practice since I finished college. I was a reporter for Times Network, a lifestyle TV company. I managed to win the Best Reporter of the Year twice for the 2 years I was there. I then left for Irvin TV as a news anchor. This was my first interaction with news anchoring. I managed to do a good job and was soon promoted to senior anchor. I bagged the Best Journalist of the Year 2 years later. 7. Mention a strategy and mindset required in this field. This is a pretty common question whose answer you should have at your fingertips. Do you have a way of executing your roles that other news anchors can pick? Everything you mention should be related to the job at hand. Sample answer. The strategy that has always worked for me is getting everything ready way long before it's time to hit the air. It gives me a lot of time to go through the scripts and news pieces and eliminate mistakes. Additionally, I assume a focused and thorough mindset when executing my roles, which helps me avoid making mistakes. 8. Mention the main challenge that you foresee in this job. By now, you should have gone through the company's policies. Do not mention a challenge that can be easily solved, or you will end up looking incompetent. Sample answer. I have gone through your work policies and operations guidelines, which I must say are impressive. However, I have also realized that I may be needed to stay in the studio on Saturday nights for midnight anchoring. Even though I am highly flexible, this will prove challenging due to family traditions. I am sure that we will work on that and find a solution. 9. How do you stay motivated in this job? Being a news anchor is not as easy as everybody thinks. Being required to put on a happy face even when going through personal problems should tell you just how challenging it can be. How do you manage such and get the motivation to go live on air daily? Mention a source of motivation that is neither money nor material in nature. Sample answer. I love what I do. I am passionate about this job, which informed my decision to pursue journalism. I also believe that the challenges I face make me better and more skilled at this job. Lastly, I have a strong support system back at home, consisting of family and friends who motivate me. 10. Mention a time that you failed in this role and the lesson you learned. Can you learn from your mistakes? Will you be accountable and admit that you messed up? The interviewer wants to know whether you can own up and learn from your failures. However, choose the experience wisely. Do not mention a case of gross incompetence. Sample answer. I was once engrossed in other roles and did not manage to get a final news item on time, forcing the broadcasting team to delay the news briefing by 10 minutes. I was later summoned to explain what had happened and could see that my supervisor was furious. I learned the importance of proper planning, organization and prioritization of work to avoid such delays which may cost the employer or harm my career. 11. Which guests do you enjoy interviewing the most? By now you definitely know that part of your job includes interviewing guests from different sectors, places or professions. Think about all the guests you have interviewed in your career and identify the interviews you immensely enjoyed. However, also make the interviewer know that you can handle any guest. Sample answer. I have interviewed lots of guests in my time as a news anchor. However, I immensely enjoy my interactions with entrepreneurs given my keen eye on investing and entrepreneurship. I also enjoy interviewing scholars and politicians. However, despite my inclination towards the three, I can interview any guest from any sector in the world. 12. We have discovered that you change jobs frequently. Why is that? Even though the average job tenure is growing shorter with each passing day, hiring managers will still want to know why you cannot maintain a job for long. Interviewers need to know that you are mature with your choices, since hiring new talents takes a huge toll on the company. Therefore, be mature in your response. Sample answer. The main reason why I change jobs is that I am always on the move. I have had to change states to be with my spouse for times and had to change jobs each time. However, we have decided to settle here, and that wouldn't, therefore, be a problem. Or you can tell the interviewer that most of the companies you worked for closed down and therefore, you had to change jobs. 13. What do you like most about this job? What is the greatest selling point of being a TV anchor, according to you? This is a chance to talk highly about this job and mention some things that appeal to you. Remember, there are no right or wrong answers since this is purely based on your experience. Sample answer. Leading important discussions and breaking critical news to viewers from all over the country makes this job highly rewarding. As a person who loves being part of or leading discussions, interviewing guests in the studio makes me glad. This job also ensures that I interact with viewers, which I love. 14. What would you improve about our company? You need to tread well when answering this question. Even though you should be honest, desist from touching the company's core business. Do not talk of something that your potential employer takes great pride in, but mention any secondary thing you would improve. Sample answer. I have to admit that you people are doing an excellent job here, and there is nothing major that needs improvement. However, maybe you could shorten the international news airtime and focus more on that time covering local stories. You should craft your answer in such a way that the interviewers will not be offended. Do not them feel that their work is not sufficient. 15. What sites do you mostly use? You need to be active and present as a news anchor. Employers are nowadays reluctant to employ ghosts or people whose online activity cannot be established. How often do they publish on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter? And what stories do they love covering? Sample answer: I am an active Twitter user. I find it highly informative and engaging. I have learned quite a lot from it as it also brings together different professionals, world leaders and revolutionaries. Here is where I learned that you had an opening for news anchors. 16. Can you work well under pressure? This job can get intense. And therefore, the interviewer will always want to know that you can withstand such moments. Mention some of your coping skills and convince the interviewer that you can deliver during such circumstances. Sample answer: I understand the pressure of this job. Having been in this industry for quite some time, however, I have learned that I work well under pressure. It challenges and brings the best out of me. As long as I plan and prioritize my work, I can deliver exceptional results. Your job involves talking to your audience and the general public, therefore, you should be in a better position to answer this question. Mention a few things you have learned about public communication. What makes you connect with your audience? Sample answer: the key to success when communicating with the public is staying objective and appealing to their interests where necessary. I have found that people are more attentive when you touch on areas that they hold dear. A person who is concerned about governance will always be attentive when any governance-related news is mentioned. 18. What is the key to successful interviewing of guests in shows? Your job also involves inviting guests and interviewing them. You should therefore expect leaders, CEOs, business people or random guests in your shows. Tell the interviewer the secret to successfully interviewing them. Sample answer: if you want to conduct an active and productive interview, then you need to stay objective, veering off from the topic of discussion and focusing on non-issues, however appealing, is the surest way of messing an interview. 19. Mention one strength that has immensely helped you in your career. You definitely know what it takes to be a good news anchor. Mention any of your personal attributes that fit into those requisites. Sample answer: I am a good public speaker and communicator. I managed to work on stage fright at a pretty young age. Thanks to the years I spent debating, I can look into any camera at any time and go live. 20. What do you dislike most about this job? What are some of the downsides of this job? You can mention some of the challenges you face by being a news anchor or some of the tough situations you find yourself in. Be honest but professional in your answer. Sample answer: the biggest downside to being a news anchor is the public scrutiny that comes with it. We cannot take a stand on controversial issues at times for fear of tainting our brand or reflecting badly on our employers. I have also had paparazzi follow me when out with friends. Bloggers are constantly writing articles about news anchors without even fact-checking with us first. Conclusion: these are some of the commonest questions news anchors face in their interviews. Make sure that you go through them once more to avoid stuttering and looking incompetent. Remember, chances are only given to the deserving.